Hello. Welcome to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. Like the last day of summer, just about.
That's right.
That's Ian Ferguson.
Go Bills.
I'm Pat Contry. I'm blasting myself, but you shouldn't do that with the Gel Blaster Surge.
No.
You shouldn't blast yourself.
Operate the Gel Blaster Surge.
New sponsor
With safety.
this week on the CU Podcast.
That's right.
It's our new favorite thing. On the show today, we'll have a follow-up to the Prototype Atari Cart Intuition story with Half-Life Books. We'll be talking about a Final Fantasy NFTs, of course. Square Enix, they're on that train. We're talking about G4 layoffs a little bit, the huge GTA 6 leak, and also Pat was slandered by some sealed collecting cretin. And we'll get into that via a Carl Jobst video that came out. Ian doing the eyebrow raise. You have a good weekend, Ian? Your
I had a great weekend. We got a chance to play D&D again on Sunday for the first time in what must have been months, just because of all the stuff that's been going on with Buddy's mom. And then surgeries on the side of the people, some of the other folks we played D&D with had to have some surgery. So it's been tough to get together. And that was a really good time. And then the very next day, I got to watch the Buffalo Bills abso-fucking-lutely decimate the Tennessee Titans, I got to tell you.
They were a top seed last year, the Titans. That's what Giants beat them, barely, but then they got destroyed by the Bills.
I mean, the first week was, 31-10 over LA, and then 41-7.
Wow.
Against the Titans.
That's what you call a shellacking.
It was a shellacking.
Well, you know it's over like in the third quarter. Like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, fucking Josh Allen was sitting, resting up, looking real pretty on the sidelines all the fourth quarter. There was absolutely no reason for that guy to be.
They're bringing the backup at that point.
Yeah. There was. I mean, the thing with Allen is he's mobile. He's a mobile quarterback, and he's not like
a hoss.
He's not weak, but he's like quarterbacks, he's a little bit slimmer, and you don't want that. You don't want your quarterback getting injured. You don't want Josh Allen getting injured 2 games into the season.
No, you take him out
when you're.
You take him out with 5 minutes left. You're up by like 35 points, or whatever. You don't leave him in.
There's just doesn't matter.
Like they do that in basketball when the Warriors are up by like 25 points. Curry's not playing. They'll sit out the fourth quarter. It's like, why even bother?
Yeah, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth exhausting him. Whatever.
Just let him be.
So, yeah, that was great. I'm looking forward to the game against the Dolphins this weekend.
I don't remember you being this much into football past years. Like this hype, like going out to watch games this early.
It was
all right.
I just decided.
I'm not judging. I don't remember it.
I would say probably like 10 years ago, I started paying attention to the Bills again, just like their season scores and stuff. About 5 years ago, I started really paying attention to like the scoreboard during games. Mm-hmm. And then last year, I started watching more games. So I just figured this year I'll go all in.
And my Mets have clinched a playoff berth, so that means at least a wild card.
Yeah.
Haven't done that in 6 years, and they're neck and neck with the Braves for the division lead.
How many games left in the regular season?
Like 17 or so.
Okay.
So it's like 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Yeah, it goes, this year it goes a little later. I think it goes to like into the first week of October, the end of the season. But now that they have this great new playoff system where it's like a 2 out of 3 rounds for the wild card, but for the 2 sets of teams, so it's a little bit long. Now the playoffs go into like the first week of like November. It goes a little bit later than used to, but it's great. The current system they have now for the baseball playoffs is absolute perfection. How they have it, top two teams out of the 3 divisions get a bye, and you get 2 wild cards. You get 3 wild cards, 3 wild card teams, and the third division leader with the lowest record. Those 4 teams play each other, I believe, 2 out of 3. And then it goes to 4 teams left. It's like a brilliant system to do it.
Man, the Padres really fucking shit the bed.
Oh, yeah. They signed Soto, who did absolutely nothing. That was the big thing. Oh, the Yankees, and he did nothing. CU Sportscast.
They're back 21 and a half games from the Dodgers.
Well, the Dodgers are the best. They're the best record by far. I think they have 10 more wins than the Mets, at least.
102 wins is crazy.
Congratulations to our pal Pixel Dan.
Yes.
Victorious as Spencer Powers in his title defense against Matt Cardona.
It's a good name.
Always ready, Matt Cardona. That's a pretty good name. So this was for let me get the title right here. This was for the what was it? The PWA,
a regional heavyweight championship.
Regional heavyweight championship, which I believe Spencer Powers won either earlier this year or last year. Defended the title. It was a no DQ match, so there were foreign objects used.
Yes, there are some chairs in play,
including a certain Master of the Universe guidebook came into play here and there. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
He won via cutter, a Spencer Powers cutter. That was how the victory came. Spoilers. So check it out.
We love a good cutter.
Let's talk NFTs, shall we?
I mean,
let's do it. Final Fantasy, Square Enix, we talked about. Square Enix was one of the main companies that was pushing this shit earlier in the year with statements. I think it was like late last year, like, oh, we're going to lead into NFTs. People are like, why, Square Enix? People are like, why? Like, why? At the time. And they really like doubled down, I think, remember. So it was really them and Ubisoft, the major game companies that really leaned into
Ubisoft
it.
Didn't get into NFTs.
No,
remember we talked about last week? They were just exploring. They were just exploring.
They were just making out with their friend at a party.
Embarrassment. Fucking embarrassing, Ubisoft. Yeah. Anyways, Square Enix Final Fantasy VII NFT toys are infuriating. The Final Fantasy's publisher's first big foray into NFTs suck, says James Whitbrook of Gizmodo. So it's merchandise, starting with 3 Final Fantasy VII collectibles in the Bring Arts line of posable action figures. But these ones attempt to directly translate the iconic concept design work by Tetsuya Nomura into 3D. And where are they? They look. I'm trying to figure out if they come with the toy or if it's just an NFT of the toy.
They come with a digital certificate of authenticity.
There it is. Okay.
Which is an NFT. The system requires collectors to sign up for a wallet with the Engine, E-N-J-I-N, Engine blockchain network. And there's even a digital plus version of each figure that you can get for an increased cost that lets you redeem an NFT for a 3D replica of the figure you just fucking bought in reality that's viewable in the real world through an augmented reality site.
You can't just buy the figures themselves. Both versions come with the NFT.
So let's combine every fucking buzz tech thing of the last 5 years, going back to like Pokemon Go, where it's like, oh, augmented reality, NFTs. We'll just throw it all together, and you spend extra money for this bullshit. This is what's bad about it. If you buy the figure and simply choose not to register,
it still exists.
The token not only still exists for that figure, so you wasted energy created it. By the way. You're also paying way more for nothing else. Each Final Fantasy, 7 Bring Arts figure costs $130, and they said typical releases before $85 to $100. So they put this bullshit extra money. You're basically spending $40 extra on an NFT that you may not want.
Right, and if you don't do anything with it, it still exists. So you're still supporting their NFT. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't know. It's gross. I'm surprised that Square's... I still feel like this is a project that has probably been in place for 6 to 9 months, and that's why they're shuffling this shit out, because they've already dumped the money into it, so they feel like they've got to go forward with it. But at some point, I mean, maybe just Square's a bunch of fucking idiots.
No, they doubled down on it, I remember, even back in the spring. And then Starbucks is doing NFTs. Starbucks has done a pretty good job staying out of like a hatred of people the past several years.
No, it hasn't.
I haven't noticed.
It's been huge with the union shit. I mean, it's been all over the news. Starbucks is vilified currently because he's a union busting piece of shit, and that's all that the news has been on them.
Okay.
It has not been good for Starbucks this year. They look like shit.
I haven't been looking at that. I haven't been looking at that, but okay. So they're doing NFTs.
Yeah.
A loyalty NFT program.
And this clearly, to me, looks like what I had said before. This looks like something they put money into a year ago, and now they're like, well, we spent the money on it. Because it's all the same buzzwords from the early days of NFTs. It's like a unique and immersive coffee experience.
Starbucks Odyssey is a loyalty program. Employees can earn and purchase blockchain tokens as well as employees. What the fuck? What? Each is designed to unlock digital, physical, and experiential benefit. Tell me what an experiential benefit is, Starbucks. Like what? What are you gonna like? Experiential? I gotta look that up again. Like that doesn't mean that's not reality. Experiential, based on experience and observation. What does that mean? Well, that means absolutely nothing. Okay, so that's just awful. I don't know. It's Starbucks. sell your fucking coffee, Starbucks.
It's a fucking punch card. It's an overcomplicated punch card.
You're already selling selling a freaking an espresso probably for like $20. So like, just get off it. It's ridiculous.
It's not that expensive, Pat. it's garbage, but it's not $20.
It's hyperbole. It's expensive to get coffee at Starbucks. Right? No. Space venture. I almost forgot this was a thing. We talked about this at least twice before.
We did.
But that was like not a Castle Conjure. This was like 8 years ago we talked about this game. Space Venture is a space adventure game from the two guys from Andromeda that worked on the original 4 Space Quest games together. Then they split off and did different things. So they did this Kickstarter back pre-podcast, 2012. 2012 they did this podcast. That's 10 years ago. And this was going to be a point-and-click adventure game like the original Space Quest games from the original team, in theory. And they couldn't use Roger Wilco, obviously, from Space Quest. So they got Ace Hardaway, who's kind of like still like a handyman.
Right.
Maybe not a custodian, like a handyman.
We covered a few of these.
He's got a plunger thing, so he's still, he's got like a toilet plunger thing.
He's got a toilet snake.
A little toilet snake. So it's supposed to be a humorous sci-fi thing, like funny deaths, like Space Quest. The issue is, I guess, development has been an absolute disaster on this. This was supposed to come out in 2013, this game, and it's 9 years later, and I think it finally limped to the finish line. I had no idea. I had not thought about this game in like 5 years.
No, neither had I. I mean, the last time we covered it, it was, I think, an intro topic, barely.
Yeah. So it comes out, and it seems like a buggy mess. From reports.
Basically, they launched it with a walkthrough, an incredibly detailed walkthrough, probably because if you tried to do anything other than the main walkthrough path, you would start triggering off all sorts of bugs and problems that would crash.
Or else the game was designed enough that you can figure it out on your own, maybe?
Well,
it's like missing animations or missing cues or something, like not know how to click on a certain area.
All I'm getting at is they released the walkthrough directly with the game, because if you tried to play it without one, you were probably going to encounter an even more broken mess.
Wow. Yeah. Pal Frank Cifaldi was talking about some of the issues with it. One person I saw on Twitter saying they couldn't save their game at all.
Right.
It's there's even the game even tells you like saves don't really work. And one person said I couldn't save a game at all. And this is a game where, well, you're going to have to save because like part of it is deaths and seeing funny animations and things like that. And it's 2022. You should be able to save a game. So like when I look at this, I look at people that got back into this that from 30 years before, 25 years before, that got in over their heads. And maybe either the world passed them by, or the technology did, or just the whole process of game design passed them by. Right. And just couldn't handle it. Because when you hear stuff like that, where like you can't save a game, it's like what are they using to make the game? Like are they not using something like a game maker or something in Unity, where a lot of this stuff is like baked into the core of it, and so it just seems like something that just went off the rails and was either they asked for too little money or they didn't spend it properly. That's what it is. They got over $500,000. So you can say, well, for a big game, that's not a lot of money. For a smaller indie game, that's enough money.
Well, as Frank says, it's not enough money, for a 10-year development cycle.
But that's the thing.
And that's the thing. They didn't scope out properly.
It shouldn't have been a 10-year game, though. No. That's the point. Those Space Quest games they made, they were pumping those out every year. Those games, every year and a half, there was a new Police Quest, or every year there's a new Leadership Larry. Like, this should not have been a 10-year game. You should have kept to the scope of the originals and just had bigger graphics, obviously, and better. Like, people just probably would be satisfied with a game that took 2 hours to play. This probably is not a game that takes 20 hours. It's an adventure game. You take 2 hours, an hour and a half, you go through it, you figure out the puzzles and you go through it. So it's a shame because of obviously you have the people behind them. They got Gary Owens back to narrate. I mean, he's listed on the original Kickstarter. Yeah, he did Space Quest 4 and 6. 5 was the weird one. 5 was weird because which one left for 5 of the 2? So like they all did this. They both worked on both up to 4. 5 was not full voice like 4 was. So it was weird. But then
Okay.
6 was again. It was weird how 5 wasn't. I never played 6 through 6. I remember it crashing on DOS. Speaking of crashing, 6. But I did play 5. I played through all the first 5, obviously. So I feel bad for the people that pledged this literally 10 years ago. 10,800 backers, and you have a buggy mess that who knows if it'll ever be fixed. They're probably just lucky that it came out at all.
Yep, I think that's probably going to be the end of that.
Talk about PSVR2 real quick.
Yeah, so PlayStation VR2 is not going to have backwards compatibility for PSVR games. I made a comment on Twitter earlier in the week that this was a really bad idea, and I realized that there are technical specifications that someone was trying to explain it to me, and I get it. There is something that makes sense there, and I think it's also partially because VR is a rapidly, it's a young technology and it's changing fairly rapidly, so there are things that just, with a more advanced headset may not be able to be compatible with older stuff. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It still looks really, really bad, I think.
I wonder if
it's just there's no way to make that look good.
I wonder if like 8 years ago, when people thought that VR was going to take over the world in every way, when they saw this stuff happening, if they realized that, hey, we're going to sell a bunch of VR headsets and people have to junk them after a certain amount of time because it progresses on like a game console.
Right.
Except I cannot picture people wanting to go back and play old VR versus new VR.
No.
That's the difference. It's like I don't see like people want to go back and play old games but an immersive experience, I don't think you want to go back and play an older immersive experience in my head. I just think that'd be weird. You want the newest and best. That's the whole point of VR, right? So that's unfortunate because these are not cheap. All these headsets.
No, they're not, and I think that's where VR is going to fall off. Everyone can enjoy it. I mean, I have a Quest 2. I like it every once in a while. It's fun to use, but I think it's going to be harder to. Remember, in like the late '80s, it was tough to get people to early on to kind of buy into we need to upgrade to this new system. Going from the NES to the Super Nintendo. We've got Nintendo at home. Yeah. I that was surmounted. I don't know that it's going to be that easy of a sell to make VR a new thing that people are going to upgrade every few years. I could see a lot of people who got into VR right now being like, okay, that's enough. I'm not going to touch VR for the next decade or two. I don't need to constantly buy a new headset every 3 years to keep up with it.
Yeah.
I had my fun and I'll check it out later when it's, even better than it is now.
Yeah, it's a pure luxury item.
Yes.
It's way more than a game console to me. It's more like, I have money to blow. I can check out a movie in VR or a game, or VR. Porn is obviously big. Porn's always where the technology always goes. Porn is always the leader when it comes to technology.
It's true. Porn pushes technology. They always say porn didn't back beta; they backed VHS, which was part of why VHS succeeded.
Just because it was cheaper.
Yeah,
that's it. It was inferior but cheaper, and that's it. So that's interesting. But yeah, I never thought about that. Looking years back, I'm like, oh, are people going to have to toss these headsets, or is this the last thing? It never crossed my mind. Man, that was a big. Wow. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to be a big thing, VR, in terms of like penetration. But like, I think it still did worse than I thought it was going to do.
I think it did a little bit better than I thought it was going to do. Okay. I mean, just the fact that the fact that it exists in this way at all is big. I mean,
I would have fallen off by now entirely.
Yes.
Okay. Or maybe it's still being, I guess you get a couple of big games out there that can keep it going, but I guess it's like a fractured gaming environment, I guess. That's what it comes down to.
It's not a fractured environment. UltimateNintendo.com. It's unified. You can get all of your amazing goods that you need to live your life happily there. We have pins. We have, Pat has RBI baseball stickers. You can get Pat's books. It's a great time. We got some $10 blowout shirts.
Oh, get your limited shirt. $10.
Smalls only. Get them now.
Don't tell them that. We want to go to the site, shop for other stuff, and then discover that they don't fit in the shirts.
You can still go and buy these sweet stickers.
But hey, if you have a small animal or pet or child, you can force them to wear a limited shirt for $10. And we have the vinyl stickers, Ian. We have the nice stickers you can put on a laptop or a water bottle, any hard surface, dude. My favorite's the Danny approved still. And then the and we have the Frank and Pat stickers as well there.
Frank and Beans
at ultimatenintendo.com. I'm on Cameo, cameo.com/PatCountry. I'm getting about one a week the past few weeks. It's a thing again. So check it out for all your well-wishing needs. Then I'll be on Twitch Wednesday, twitch.tv /CountryCode. we will both be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, October, is that 15th, the middle of October? The 15th and 16th in beautiful Portland, Oregon, the most strip clubs per capita, according to Ian, during the exclusive CU podcast. We talk about strip clubs.
Let's talk about strip clubs.
Or, like the Howard Stern show, talking about strip clubs at patreon.com/CU podcast. And then I'll be at Retropalooza also the week after, the 22nd and 23rd in Arlington, Texas, as well. So I'm busy in October for those. James Cameron explained why 3D TVs failed.
Because they sucked. Thanks, James.
Because they tried to push the technology back in 2009-10, and I was there. I went to CES 2010. CES 2010, 3D TVs was this is the big technology this year that they're showing off. Every booth. That was another world looking back. That's like basically pre-Twitter blowing up, pre-Netflix streaming, just about, or back when it was first started getting started. A lot different 12 years ago, the world. So 3D TVs, they try to push where you'd have to wear glasses, like in the movie theater, because Avatar just come out. 3D movies were big again. It was a gimmick to get people to watch, to pay more money. That was the thing. Pay like $5 more per ticket.
Right.
And people were doing it. I think I watched fucking Iron Man 2 with 3D glasses because most of the screenings were 3D. There was a time where now it's like the opposite. Now it's like you get like one maybe for a big movie. It used to be like, oh, most are 3D and a couple are not 3D. So they try to push 3D TVs, but they were super dumb expensive. They're like $2,000 to $3,000 for a TV. And they sucked because you had to like wear the glasses from a certain distance away. And depending on how good the 3D TVs were, they were less immersive than others. And people had just upgraded within the past few years to their first HD TVs that were LCDs, even before LEDs. So if I just spent $1,500 on a TV, I'm not going to spend $2,000 on another TV. I'm not going to do it. So it never caught on. I knew it wasn't going to catch on, and that's basically what James Cameron should have said, but probably didn't in the article.
Yeah, I was just looking. I remember there being the PlayStation branded 3D TV that came out. It was only like 24 inches, and it was, I believe, supposed to be like a cheaper entry point into the 3D TV market. But these are still like everywhere for $500, $600. No one wants them. No one wants to touch these. There's going to be fucking 3D TV display, overstock forever. And I mean, just to show you how far back this goes, we're on the PlayStation 5 now. These were primarily marketed to PlayStation 3 owners.
Yeah, we're talking like 2009, 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. 11.
He said that, the cost for the glasses, to manufacture the glasses, because they were special glasses. They weren't the ones you got in the movie theater. And the additional cost required got out of step with the market. Man, there was no market demand. I mean,
none.
I've never met a person with a 3D TV or known someone with 3D TV in my life. Yeah. Haven't. Nope. G4 might be a little bit of trouble. The beleaguered channel came back earlier in the year. They're on cable networks. I think Comcast owns them. So they're on some cable networks. They have a Twitch channel and they have a YouTube channel. They came back, I think it was February. And they're already in trouble. There's a lot of layoffs. Let's see. This is from Ethan Gach.
20 to 30 staff members were laid off at G4 TV, which I think they said makes up like 15 to 20% of who was there. I can't find the actual percentage now. But either way, it's not a great look for something that just came back not even a year ago. And, no ill will to, G4 TV. But we said at the time, this didn't strike us as a particularly great idea. I just don't know where the market is for this.
Speaking of 12 years ago, that's probably when probably the full demand would have ended. Because now you're transitioning into YouTube stuff more from getting your news and entertainment video game content. 2000s versus 2010s is like an entirely different world technologically. Entirely different world. You go from having flip phones and being forced to watch content maybe on a TV to get all the latest news. And now it's like, well, even game trailers, and game trailers was big. I can get my trailers on there in my gameplay videos and game trailers, and then YouTube. And then video game companies figured out, I don't have to go through news media. I can release the information myself. I can have my own YouTube channel. I can do that. And so things started to shift in the early 2010s. By the mid 2010s, we're like, okay, We saw the end of the line for E3 several years back. We're like, this is going to end. It's just, when is it going to end?
Right.
So G4 is part of that old style of media when it comes to that, like a fully produced show with video game news, once a day. That's not how we digest information the same way with news. It used to be you come home from work, you watch the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock news, right? Now you get news instantly on your phone. You find out things when they happen 20 seconds after they happen. And I don't think you can ever rewind that experience. And the culture has moved on. And the demographics has moved on. Because people that watched G4 when they were on TV were like in their 20s,
Yeah.
15 years ago. And now we're older. And the youngsters that you need to watch it are not even watching TV. They're watching their laptop or PC screens and their phones, and will probably never, ever have a traditional cable.
No,
the cord cutting's
they
been
won't.
insane.
I mean, it's just the for a TV channel to subscribe, you have to have people who are in that TV watching mentality. It's not a thing anymore. People don't understand how we used to get home and just flip a TV on and watch and flip channels until we found something we liked. It doesn't exist.
Yes. Frank said that there's so many cord cutters. If you look at the demographics, it's obviously everyone that owns cable now is like, probably like 50 or older, like for the vast majority.
Yeah.
He said to get him to stay without even like him saying it, they gave him the NFL ticket package for free. Like, this is a package that usually costs what, $50, $60, $100, whatever it is. They gave it to him for free. He can watch any game like for free because they're afraid of more people leaving. It's not long for this world, obviously, traditional cable.
Right.
So this is unfortunate. One employee says, I truly cannot imagine the company continuing to produce our slate of content without the people we lost today. The timing and severity of the cuts took staff by surprise, with talent showing up on set, ready to film, only to have programming canceled as HR reps met individuals with employees. Come on, you got to do this stuff better.
Yeah.
This always is. I'm not shocked by this, but you have to know this stuff is coming. They don't make the decisions in like a day and be like, oh, Ian, we're firing 25 people tomorrow. They know it's coming.
Right.
They know it's coming weeks ahead of time.
Yeah. In addition to that, Fanbyte was also hit with a bunch of layoffs. I think they're actually just shutting down. I think they might just be shutting down the whole site. And I hate the fact that I can't remember everyone else that experienced it. There was another video game site yesterday that had a bunch of layoffs, and there was something else last week too. And honestly, it looks like a sad time for video game, reporting, journalism, and coverage. But at the same point in time, I think it's just kind of, there's explosions of content. And then I think, I don't want to use the term correct, but it kind of corrects itself. Maybe we don't, you try things and they don't work, but it doesn't look good for the print the print media doesn't look great either. Like the print web. Sure. They're experiencing a lot of layoffs as well. And it's just I feel bad. It's scary for anyone who's into games writing right now. And, I hope all these people can land on their feet.
Sure.
There was a large leak over the weekend. Some are calling it maybe the biggest leak of video game information ever.
Runny nose.
And perhaps one of the most important. Rockstar had tons and tons of Grand Theft Auto 6 videos leaked, showing things in various states of completion, from simple animation tests to segments of the game being played out, probably tested out. And they have, it's unprecedented the amount of information this person has.
I think it's like an hour total. Is it an hour or 10 minutes? What is it? Is it an hour total?
Oh, it's like an hour. Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, because I saw a few videos alone that were probably 5 minutes total.
I'd have to go back to the previous article to find out for sure. But Rockstar issued a statement. We recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. So they came out and it said, yeah, this is legit. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live game services, nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned, and we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations.
Yeah. So there's probably like a hacker got in, and from someone we know in the biz a little bit told me that They're likely quote unquote dailies. Like this is the stuff you work on. You show proof of concept for stuff like pushing an item or opening a door. Like just simple, just show that it works. And this is how it looks for someone to say, okay, this is the direction we want to go in. Looking at it though, obviously graphically it looks amazing for what they have so far, and we're still years out. But some people are like, "Oh, it looks like garbage." Like, I don't know what they're looking at. So, "Oh, it looks like it's from 10 years ago." No, it doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about. And then the big thing that it looks like, our pal Yoshi said, what looks like they've done, which is big, is something called animation linking, which is linking different animations together in real time, flowing naturally. And he said that's what looks like it's a significant jump up for something, even like the character stopping and coming to a stop gradually, stuff like that, like more naturally, things like that, turning things. I think he said he noticed something where like the character was like crouching along and crouch walking, and then like automatically pushing objects out of the way, like with their hand, stuff like that, where it's like this is a little leap up.
Sure.
In terms of stuff like that.
I don't know if it was an hour. The original article says that they dumped nearly 100 videos online.
I mean, if each video was even a minute each,
that's over. Yeah,
it's over an hour. I saw a diner video that was a few minutes. They're doing a robbery at a diner, which was like interesting because like you walk in the diner and then like you're interacting with people. Then the cops come. So,
100 videos. That's just crazy.
It's probably the biggest leak. Someone got in. Some sort of back door and lifted out this stuff, and I feel bad because like you don't want people to see the early work, like you don't, because you get people like the Sonic game where it's like you don't want people to see this shit.
What a bad idea that was.
That was an awful idea. So yeah, and this game is going to come out for what, 3 years, something like that, 2-3 years at least. So these games take a ton of time. There's so much that goes into these games. These that's why you only get one every several years. No, it's interesting. And then finally, there's this is pretty significant. This is a big YouTube channel / outlet. PC Games in Germany, PCGames.de did a big article about the Intellivision Amico. You can find it, and then you can translate with Google Translate, which is Google Translate's amazing how quickly it does it. You go like click to English, and it's readable in English. And goes through every step of what's been going on in this project. Why is that significant?
It's incredibly in-depth. It's significant because it's the German media.
And German taxpayer monies basically floated this fucking system, especially the games and the...
So its place of origin, its true place of origin is getting wise to the bullshit.
Yeah.
And talking about it.
Yeah, the marketing started. It seems the marketing
has finally started. Yes,
it has. Ian, spoke last week about an Atari game that I was involved with, try to preserve via Half-Life books, it being turned in. A little follow up to that before we get into the other Atari part of this topic. After the coverage came out, there was a tweet from someone else, Atari Soft, who I guess is someone big in the Atari game community, who tweeted that they were contacted about the Prototype Intuition card August of last year. August of 2021, they were contacted. And you would ask, well, why were they contacted? Well, likely that individual, Atari Soft, had done a little blurb on Twitter a few years back talking about Intuition, how there wasn't that much information. So it sounds like Half-Life Books searched for all the information, came across them and said, well, you're an Atari person, we should talk to you about it. And so that individual attempted to purchase the cart, then offered to have the ROM dumped and like drive to the store and do it. And they said, no, we're going to put up for auction. They plan to put up for auction in January this year of August of last year. So they planned this like several month, I guess, campaign in order to either build up interest or hype. I don't understand why you would take several months for an Atari prototype unless they want to do what they want to do. So that's when they contacted me in January. They wanted me to probably come on the podcast with you and talk about it to drum up interest in that auction.
Sure.
Then obviously then it turned into a weird sale where it was sold within hours. And so I put out a little Twitter thread, if you saw that, just detailing all the information about the process and what happened, because it got fishier the more I heard about it, especially since they contacted this individual, Atari, so not Atari Soft, Atari Spot. Atari Soft was the Atari company putting out stuff on like other consoles.
Right.
In the early 80s. Sorry, Atari Spot. I'm sorry for screwing that up.
It's okay.
So it's a weird story, by and large. The good news is that, I mean, the person that purchases is well aware of the people that can preserve this. There's hints about the individual who bought this, who they may potentially be. So hopefully they say, you know what, I'll just let someone dump the ROM. And it doesn't even mean that the ROM has to be publicly released. It just means it's digitally preserved somewhere.
Sure. If
all else fails. That's what preservation is. And it doesn't necessarily mean everyone gets to play it, just that it's safe somewhere. So it's crappy, but at least we know that the game exists. We know more about it. That's all I end up. It's crappy. We know it exists. We kind of know how it's supposed to function in theory. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. I will say this though. There were people that got after me for saying, "Oh, Pat, you're being melodramatic. Why would you expect them to tell you about what was going on?" Because that's what they said to me. People out there, they said, "We'll let you know when we have plans and what those plans are going to be." That's what they said to me. So I like to take people at their word, you know, when they're talking to me about this and coming to me and wanting to talk to me on the phone for advice and insight and stuff. Like, that's what they said to me. They said, "We're going to let you know," and they did. And then it was basically they dropped on a Labor Day weekend on a Saturday with no forewarning to anyone. So it stinks. They might have known the person was going to purchase it. I'm not saying for sure, but it's a weird coincidence that it sold that quickly when no one supposedly knew about it, or not that many people did.
Sure.
So,
speaking of Atari,
have you played Atari today, Ian?
Well,
you can't with these carts.
Yeah, you can't. So the new Atari cartridges that we talked about, that they were putting up, and we talked about how they were incredibly overpriced.
You had Adventure.
There was Adventure. There was
Aquaventure.
Aquaventure. There was, I think they did
Yar's Revenge.
They did one of the Yar's ones. Or yeah. And these games, they're being sent out with the PCBs backwards.
This is from John Hancock, our pal John Hancock, who's obviously big game collector, and did an unboxing and said, "Well, here's the problem: plug it into an Atari and it won't work." So these we talked about this before, how they really mangled the marketing of this. Remember when they originally started, when I couldn't tell if the cart was for sale for a certain price versus the box. They
just bad website design. Bad website design.
They might have swapped a couple of the full price item versus the cart. I couldn't tell if you just got the cart or not.
Yep.
It was bad. Then they falsely claimed association with Howard Scott Warshaw.
Yep.
And Howard's like, "I haven't been contacted by this at all.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with this."
They put his name on a game he didn't work on.
Yep.
On top of it, I think it might have been the Yar's Revenge remake or newer version.
Yeah, it was Yar's. Yes, whatever. It's not Revenge. It's Yar's Return or something.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with that,
and he didn't have anything to do with. I think it was Aquaventure was another one.
Correct.
It looked like they were just copy pasting templates and not changing all the stuff over.
It just shows you the lack of care that's gone into some of Atari's ventures, going back to their VCS system, where it's like, well, what is this? And it will be like 2 years behind coming out. To their credit, they put out a console that's collecting dust everywhere. It's too much dust for Ian to slap something on. So John said, "Oh yeah, you can't play the game." So the fix to John is, well, you have to take the blow dryer and you have to take off the labels so you can unscrew the damn fucking thing and get that thing open. Like an old card, you unscrew it, and then the PCB has to be turned and inserted and slid in the other way, the opposite way, to do it. That's the quote fix for the carts. And it's like, when you have all these errors along the marketing associating with the person that had nothing to do with it, it really shows you how at least some people at the company don't care. They don't have the care and attention to detail when it comes to this stuff. Like when we see good news, like putting out the 50th anniversary collection, digital clips, like that's good. That they did it looks like a good job with that. This is a disaster. Yeah, from the price to what you get with it for the price, to the mangled marketing and being unclear, to having associated with how Scott Warshaw doesn't exist on the site, where he has to come out and say that. To putting out cartridges that don't work out of the box, it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, it just, to me, it shows how cynical this all is. This isn't about honoring or remembering, these great video games of the past. It's not about preservation or anything like that. This is literally just a fucking naked cash grab from marketing assholes who know they can wring your nostalgia for all it's worth.
Yeah.
That's why they got away with the prices they did. That's why they charged the prices they did. That's why you got cartridges that were put together backwards. They don't give a single fuck about you. And this is just something that, like, you need to hammer home about this stuff. Advertising in general, a lot is, it goes into what we said about the Amico. You think these people are your friends, or they're part of the club, and they're doing this for the great of everyone. No, it's money. They want your money. They want your money. They want it any way they can get it, and they don't give a shit. You're going to get a subpar product every time.
I didn't know they had more ones out. If you want $100 for a Warlords cart that comes with a stand,
I don't. Or
Super Breakout for $100.
No, not necessarily.
The Adventure one's $100, which they're limited edition. You get you get a little patch, and you get a little pin. You get a cartridge holder. It looks like. Remember, these were more money before. Yeah, remember the limited yours was $150. Then they realized we can't sell for that anymore. But you know what? Fuck me. According to the website, they sold out. So fuck me. I don't know people are going to buy this, and that's the reason why this sloppiness will continue. Because people will buy it. People will put down pre-orders for a console just to try to remember how they felt playing a console in 1981. I'll put down $100 pre-order because I want to feel like that again, even though the people behind it, like you said, don't fucking give a shit.
They don't give a single goddamn.
They don't care.
They have nothing.
Yeah. So they have, let's say, Yar's Return, not Yar's Revenge. Return, which was like the homebrew one done after. Saboteur, that's one we talked about, I think, as well. Aqua Venture. Then they did a Missile Command one. They did an Adventure 50th anniversary, and then Warlords and Super Breakout. Already starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel for releases when you're doing Super Breakout. You're really starting to, and Warlords. I mean, they're fine games, but like these are like, they were common Atari games at the time that no one is going to be like, oh my god, I really got to play the Atari 2600 Super Breakout on a new cart. Like no one's saying that. I'm really even scratching my head of the collector appeal of buying a Super Breakout cart. I am.
No, me too. I mean, something like Adventure, which is...
Or Missile Command, even.
Somewhat notable.
Yeah, Missile Command to me is a lot notable. It's like, okay, the cart's a little different and cute. I wouldn't pay $100 for it, but at least I can see that. But once you're starting to already get to Super Breakout and Warlords, I think you're done.
Yeah.
You got your Adventure, you got your Yar's Return, and you got your Missile Command. Like you're already running out of steam at that point when it comes to it. What's left? Yeah, you're going to do Centipede? You're going to do Centipede?
I like Centipede.
You like Centipede. Would you buy $100 cart?
Absolutely not, because it's a shitty version of the game anyway.
But that's the thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, these new ones come with, it looks like a little holder, plastic holder, and on the top it says the name of the game on top. Are they playable, these games? Yes, newly manufactured. I think John reported that they would offer to replace the carts that are fucked up. So
how nice of them.
But I mean, there was absolutely no. I guess these were not to harp on it. No one was like testing a few of these along the way after they were produced and pop. They didn't have a system to pop it in to say does it power up. No one did that. No one did that. No one did that, because if they had, they wouldn't be produced like that.
Right.
Oh
they
my
just
god.
Don't care. They do not care.
So yeah, don't buy this shit. Don't buy this shit until these companies show that they care about things like that. Go buy if you want to buy the 50th anniversary digital clips thing that's going to come out like that. Yeah, okay. It looks like a quality product. It's a new software package. This stuff where you're dredging up the past from literally now 45 years ago, the VCS came out 45 years ago. I think at some point you gotta just accept reality. But whatever. I got a bunch of dusty old games on my wall, so maybe I haven't accepted reality yet, have I? I don't know. You think so? I don't know. If I come a little closer to reality,
You're getting there.
I'm not buying the way I used to.
Yeah, I don't know. You've slowed down.
I've slowed down a lot in my old age.
Slow it down.
You okay?
Yeah, just had a little
Brain.
brain. Yeah.